Welcome back to The Explainer. All right, today we're jumping into one of the most intense, symbolic chapters in the whole Bible, Revelation chapter 8. We're going to break down those famous and, terrifying trumpet judgments. But it all starts with something you might not expect, a deafening silence in heaven. Yeah, that's right. Everything kicks off, not with a huge explosion, but with this really profound, kind of unsettling quiet. And believe me, it sets the stage for everything that's about to happen.
So you got to remember, in the chapters right before this, heaven is just this place of constant, loud praise. It's nonstop. But then, the seventh seal is opened, and it all just stops. This is not an empty pause, okay? This is a silence that's absolutely charged with tension and awe.
It's this really sober, awestruck silence. It's like all of heaven is holding its breath at the same time, you know? Everyone knows what's coming. These divine judgments are about to unfold. Now, 30 minutes, that might not sound like a long time to us. But think about it. In a place that is defined by nonstop, perpetual worship, half an hour is an eternity. I mean, imagine you're at a symphony. It's building to this huge crescendo, and suddenly, every single instrument just goes silent for a full 30 minutes. That is the kind of jarring, deliberate, what is happening quiet we're talking about here. So what could possibly break a silence that profound? You might think it's a big command from God, right? Or some heavenly decree. But no, it's actually something that comes from earth.
Okay, so watch this sequence, because it's incredible. First, the prayers of God's people, right here on earth, they're all gathered up. They get mixed with this holy incense and presented right there at the throne of God. But then, that same container, the censer, is filled with fire from the altar. We're talking pure divine power here, and it's thrown back down to earth. Just like that, those prayers become the very thing that kicks off the judgment.
And the result? It's immediate. As soon as that censer hits, you get this groundswell of cataclysmic signs. It's basically a massive signal saying, all right, the silence is over, the waiting is done, it's time for action. And this really highlights a central theme of the whole thing. In this story, it is the prayers of the people, supercharged by God's power, that directly trigger these massive, world-changing events.
So with that powerful introduction out of the way, 7 angels step up. They raise their trumpets, and they are about to unleash a series of plagues on the world that just keep getting worse and worse.
Okay, first trumpet sounds, and bam! The judgment starts with this massive ecological disaster. We're talking a terrifying storm of hail and fire, and it's mixed with blood, and it just slams into the planet. It's targeting the very foundation of life on land, all the plants. Yeah, this would definitely remind you of the plagues in Egypt, but now it's happening on a terrifying global scale. But look at the scale here, is super specific. 1/3 of the trees are gone. Now, that's absolutely devastating for sure. But it's also on purpose only a part of the whole. This whole 1/3 thing is going to be a repeating pattern, and it's crucial. It's a catastrophic warning, yeah, but it also means that 2/3, the majority, is being spared. For now.
All right, so the judgment now moves from the land to the world's most vital resource, water. The second angel blows his trumpet, and this time, the target is the biggest ecosystem we have, the sea.
And what happens next is just cataclysmic. Something described as being like a great mountain burning with fire. I mean, you can imagine a meteor, right? It crashes into the ocean. The impact turns 1/3 of the sea into blood. 1/3 of all marine life dies, and 1/3 of all ships are just destroyed. This would absolutely cripple global trade, not to mention the entire food chain.
Now, some people look at this and say, okay, the mountain is a symbol for a powerful nation. But that interpretation gets tricky, right? Because if the mountain is a symbol, then what are the sea creatures? What are the ships? The whole metaphor kind of starts to fall apart. So a more direct, literal interpretation that this is a real physical disaster, honestly, it just fits the story a lot better.
So the assault on water isn't over. The third angel sounds his trumpet, but this time, the target shifts from the saltwater seas to the fresh water that we all, need to survive.
A huge star, and it has a name, wormwood, and that name is basically another word for bitterness. It falls from the sky and poisons 1/3 of all the rivers and springs, making the water totally deadly. Can you imagine? People start dying just from drinking the water that used to keep them alive.
So, we've had the land devastated, the sea, the fresh water. So where does the judgment go next? It goes up, to the heavens themselves.
The fourth angel blows the trumpet, and this blast hits the things that govern our entire lives. The sun, the moon, the stars, the things that control our days, our nights, and even our seasons.
So a third of the sun, a third of the moon, and a third of the stars are struck. But get this, it's not just that they get dimmer. No, it says for a third of the day and a third of the night, there is zero light. Absolute darkness. This is a fundamental attack on the rhythm of creation itself.
So, by now, a really clear and frankly terrifying pattern has emerged, right? The first 4 trumpets. 1/3 of the plants, gone. 1/3 of the waters, poisoned. 1/3 of the light, extinguished. This whole 1/3 thing shows you 2 things at once. Just how severe this judgment is, but also, for now anyway, a kind of profound restraint. And that's the crucial point, really. These plagues aren't meant to be the final end. They're a wake-up call, a huge planetary alarm bell. By attacking the very things we all take for granted, food, water, light, it's like a last, terrifying call to repent before it's too late.
And just when you're thinking, okay, how could it possibly get any worse than this, the chapter ends with this chilling warning. An angel is seen flying through the heavens, literally screaming, "Whoa, whoa, whoa," making it crystal clear that what we've just seen is nothing compared to what's coming with the last 3 trumpets.
So basically, the destruction of a third of the planet's entire life support system is just the opening act. It leaves you with this really chilling question, doesn't it? If this was just the warning shot, what in the world does the full force of judgment actually look like?